Let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed how the second you stop obsessing over someone, they suddenly start showing up in your life more? Texting, calling, liking your posts, acting like they miss you. That's not magic, that's psychology. The truth is, when we overinvest in someone too early, before they've earned it, we tip the scales. We start chasing and they start retreating. But the moment you shift your energy, the moment you stop making them the center of your world, something fascinating happens. They feel the loss of your attention. They feel the absence of your need, and suddenly, they start chasing you. Today, we're going to break down the power of pulling back, not as a game, but as a mindset. I'm going to show you why acting like he doesn't exist might be the exact thing that makes him addicted to you. Let's dive in. When someone is always available, always texting back instantly, always the first to make plans, it sends a subtle message, you don't have to try hard to keep me. And while we often believe that showing someone we care means being constantly available, in reality, what it often does, especially in the early stages, is reduce our perceived value. Humans are wired to want what feels rare, not what feels handed to us on a silver platter with no effort. Scarcity creates value, and this is not just true in economics, it's true in attraction. Think about it this way: if someone could have your time, your energy, your attention anytime they wanted it, without doing anything to earn it, why would they feel a need to pursue? Why would they feel that what you're offering is special? The truth is, we don't value what feels easy to get. We value what we believe not everyone can have. When you act like he doesn't exist, not in a cold or punishing way, but in a way that clearly prioritizes your own life, it sends a message that your time and presence are exclusive. You're not sitting around waiting. You're living. You have standards, a full calendar, your own goals, your own fulfillment. That's rare, and that rarity is attractive. The irony is, when you stop orbiting around a guy, when you stop anxiously wondering when he'll text back or whether he's into you, you start reclaiming your power. Suddenly, he's the one leaning in, trying to get back your attention. Why? Because it went from abundant to scarce. And the moment something becomes scarce, it becomes valuable. He notices your absence. He notices you're no longer reacting to every breadcrumb he throws. That lack of response is louder than a long emotional paragraph ever could be. It's a non-verbal message that says, I'm not waiting for you. My life is moving with or without you. This doesn't mean playing games. It doesn't mean pretending not to care. What it means is recentering your energy. It means not chasing, not overgiving, not assuming the role of the one who has to prove your worth. You are the prize. But when you make yourself too easily accessible, you take the mystery out of the experience. You remove the challenge. And the human brain loves challenge. It loves to earn. When a man has to earn your time, he appreciates it. He thinks about what to say, how to impress you, how to stand out. That investment is what makes him attach. If he didn't work for it, he didn't have to think about it. If he didn't have to think about it, he didn't connect to it. Acting like he doesn't exist in this context is really about acting like you exist for yourself first. And anyone else has to add value to be part of that experience. So when you stop jumping at every text, stop rearranging your life, stop constantly seeking reassurance from him, he starts to feel the shift. He starts to question, what's changed? That curiosity becomes interest. That interest becomes motivation. He starts showing up differently. Not because you manipulated him, but because you stopped over-delivering and let him feel the absence of your presence. And in that space, desire is born. Emotional independence is one of the most powerful forms of attraction, and yet, it's often the most overlooked. We're conditioned to believe that closeness, constant communication, and emotional openness will win someone over. And while connection is important, what truly draws someone in isn't how much we give, it's how whole we are without needing anything in return. There's nothing more magnetic than a person who doesn't need you to feel good about themselves. When you carry yourself like your happiness is self-generated, It sends a strong, silent message. I'm good with or without you. That doesn't mean you're cold. It doesn't mean you're detached or uninterested. It simply means that your emotional well-being is not dependent on another person's attention or approval. And that kind of self-possession is incredibly attractive, especially to a man who is used to being the one in control. Men, like anyone, want to feel chosen, not needed. The moment you shift from "I want you" to "I need you," the balance changes. Needing someone implies that without them, you're incomplete. That without their text, your day is ruined. That without their attention, you feel unworthy. And the moment someone feels that pressure, they start to pull away. Why? Because nobody wants the weight of someone else's happiness on their shoulders. It doesn't feel romantic. It feels like a burden. When you're emotionally independent, you remove that pressure. You create space in the relationship. You send the message that you're not trying to fill a void. You're simply choosing to share your already full life with someone who adds to it. That shift changes everything. It makes a man want to be a part of your world because it's not about rescuing or fixing you. It's about connecting with someone who's already strong and self-sufficient. What happens when you're emotionally independent is subtle but powerful. You stop chasing. You stop over-explaining yourself. You stop reading into every delay in communication because you're no longer attaching your worth to whether someone reaches out or not. You stop overthinking your every move in fear of losing him because deep down, you know if someone needs to be chased, convinced, or begged to stay, they're not the right person. That energy is undeniable. You walk into a room differently. You speak differently. You don't tolerate inconsistency. You don't settle for crumbs. And suddenly, the very person you once felt you had to win over now finds themselves trying to win you. Not because you played games, but because you showed them what it looks like to be whole. Emotional independence isn't about closing yourself off or never being vulnerable. It's about knowing your value so deeply that someone else's opinion can't shake it. It's about being so rooted in who you are that when someone walks away, it hurts, but it doesn't break you. That inner strength is what keeps you grounded. It's what keeps you from chasing emotionally unavailable people. It's what keeps you from begging for closure or texting someone just to feel a temporary hit of validation. When a man meets a woman who doesn't need him to be okay, he experiences something rare. He meets someone who chooses him, not from desperation, but from strength. And that choice means more. It's not given out of fear or loneliness. It's given out of genuine desire. And that kind of attention, that kind of love, that's the kind that keeps someone coming back. When someone has to work for something, they naturally value it more. This applies to everything in life. Our careers, our goals, even material things we own. What we invest time, energy, or emotion into becomes important to us because we've given something of ourselves in the process. Relationships are no different. When a man has to chase a little, when he has to make an effort to win your attention, to get to know you, or to earn your time, something powerful happens. He becomes emotionally invested. He begins to associate your value with the effort he's put in. And when someone invests, they attach. But the opposite is also true. When everything is handed over too quickly, when there's no challenge, no anticipation, no effort, there's no real emotional hook. If you're constantly initiating, constantly showing up, constantly reaching out without giving him a chance to step up, he might appreciate it for a while, but he won't feel that deeper attachment. He won't feel the pride that comes with earning someone's affection because he didn't have to work for it. And what we don't work for, we don't protect, prioritize, or fear losing. This is where the idea of allowing a man to chase becomes more than just a dating cliché. It's not about playing hard to get. It's about letting him meet you halfway. It's about giving space for his effort to surface and then rewarding that effort, rather than preemptively giving everything in hopes that he'll see your worth. Many women are taught to lead with giving time, giving reassurance, giving constant availability, as a way of proving they're all in. But if he hasn't yet shown that he's willing to invest at the same level, that dynamic quickly becomes one-sided. He doesn't have to do anything to keep your attention because you've already given it away unconditionally. But when you step back, when you give him space to pursue, when you allow silence instead of always filling it, it forces him to decide how much he wants to be part of your world. That decision is everything. Because when he chooses to lean in without being prompted, it's coming from a genuine place of interest. Not guilt, not pressure, not convenience. That kind of effort means something. It builds a foundation of mutual investment. And that's the foundation of real emotional connection. Letting him chase doesn't mean doing nothing. It means doing less of the emotional labor he hasn't earned yet. It means not overcompensating for his lack of initiative. It means trusting that if he's genuinely interested, he'll show it. And if he's not, you'll know early enough to walk away with your dignity intact. The chase isn't about playing games. It's about observing who steps up when you stop filling in all the gaps. When he does have to make an effort, when he plans the date, texts first, follows up, or asks about your day, he's more present, he's more engaged. Because he's now investing his time and emotional energy, and no one does that for something they don't care about. That effort begins to create emotional momentum, and over time, it builds a real attachment. People fall for what they give to, not just what they receive from. So when you allow a man the space to chase, to pursue, to earn moments with you, you're not just preserving your value. You're giving him the chance to feel connected through effort. And when a man is connected, when he's emotionally involved in the process, he doesn't walk away easily, because he's no longer just enjoying your presence. He's earned it, and what we earn, we fight to keep. Silence is one of the most underused yet powerful tools in attraction. In a world where instant replies, constant updates, and endless access to each other have become the norm, choosing to be silent, to pause, to not immediately react, speaks volumes. It creates space for curiosity, and in that space, desire has room to grow. When you act like he doesn't exist, not by ghosting or being rude, but simply by not chasing, not over-communicating, not trying to force connection, you become a mystery in his mind. And mystery breeds intrigue. People are naturally drawn to what they don't fully understand. When someone is always available, always explaining, always making themselves emotionally open at every turn, it can unintentionally kill the sense of excitement. There's nothing to figure out, no puzzle to solve, no moment of, what is she thinking? But silence causes reflection. When you don't respond immediately, when you don't fill every quiet space with a message or a call or a check-in, it makes him wonder where your focus is. It shifts the dynamic. He starts asking himself questions. Is she losing interest? Is she seeing someone else? Did I mess up? And in that questioning, he starts thinking about you more. You go from being someone he assumes is always there to someone whose presence is no longer guaranteed. This isn't about manipulation. It's about taking back your energy and not being so quick to pour it out. It's about breaking the pattern of giving unlimited access to someone who hasn't earned it. When a man gets used to hearing from you every day, when he knows he can text you at any hour and you'll respond instantly, he stops feeling the urgency to pursue. There's no risk of losing your attention, so he doesn't value it as much. But when you create silence, not to punish, but to live your life without making him the center of it, you shift the power back. You become someone he has to work to reconnect with. The key is emotional discipline. It's so tempting to fill in the quiet moments with action, to reach out, to check if he's thinking of you, to remind him you're there. But when you resist the urge, you create an emotional vacuum, and people feel compelled to fill that vacuum. He starts to notice your absence. He starts to miss the energy you used to freely give. That absence becomes louder than words. It starts working on his mind. It forces him to realize that your attention is not a given. It's a privilege. And when he does come back, because if there was real interest, he will, It's because he felt the distance. He missed your presence. He chose to reconnect. That choice means everything. It means he's not coming back out of convenience, but out of actual desire. And in the space you created, he had to experience what it's like not to have you readily available. That's what creates value. That's what deepens attraction. Silence builds tension, and tension is what fuels attraction. Relationships need moments of pause. They need moments where you're not so emotionally accessible, so that when you do show up again, it means something. Let your silence be intentional. Let it come from self-respect, from a place of emotional strength, not from fear. Because when you stop filling every gap, you allow him to realize that you are not just another woman waiting for his attention. You are someone whose attention is rare, and therefore worth chasing. When your life is full, exciting, and fulfilling on its own, you stop needing someone else to fill the gaps. You stop seeking a relationship as a rescue plan and start seeing it as an addition, not the foundation. This is one of the most attractive qualities a person can have in being whole. When a man meets a woman who clearly loves her life, who has passions, goals, friends, standards, and her own rhythm, he doesn't feel pressure to complete her. Instead, he feels curiosity. He wants to know more. He wants to understand what makes her so alive without needing constant external validation. When your life is already rich, the way you approach dating shifts entirely. You're not auditioning. You're evaluating. You're not waiting for someone to come make your life interesting. You're living in a way that's already interesting. And if someone wants to be a part of that, they need to bring value, not just charm. You stop tolerating mediocrity, and people feel that. They feel that you're not someone who's just happy to be chosen. You're someone who's also choosing. This is what happens when you stop putting him on a pedestal. When he's no longer the main event of your emotional life, he becomes a part of it, but not the core. And from that space, the entire dynamic changes. He stops being the one in control of your highs and lows. You're no longer anxiously waiting for the next text, the next date, the next signal of interest. Why? Because you're too busy living. You're busy building your career, spending time with people who nourish you, learning new things, taking care of your body, mind, and soul. That self-prioritization is not selfish. It's powerful. Most people can sense when someone's entire world revolves around them. It creates a feeling of emotional weight, of pressure. Even if it's subtle, it comes across in conversation, in texts, in expectations. But when someone feels like a bonus in your already beautiful life, the connection becomes lighter, more exciting, and paradoxically, more attractive. You're not asking them to complete you. You're inviting them to join you. This energy is rare. Too often, people shrink themselves or press pause on their lives the second someone interesting shows up. They start skipping plans, rearranging their schedules, slowly losing touch with their own center. And in doing so, they unknowingly communicate that their happiness is now in someone else's hands. That's when insecurity starts to creep in. That's when the fear of loss becomes overwhelming. Because when someone becomes your everything, the idea of losing them feels like losing your identity. But when your identity is rooted in your own life, your own growth, your own joy, you stop fearing loss the same way. You know that with or without him, your life will still be good. That belief changes how you carry yourself. It shows up in how you text, how you flirt, how you handle delays, or even rejection. You become less reactive, more composed, and much more attractive. You become the person who doesn't just add value to a man's life. You are value. And value never has to chase. When a man sees that you're not waiting to be chosen, that you're not desperately seeking attention or reassurance, it makes him look at you differently. He respects you more. He's more drawn to you. Because you're living proof that love is not something you chase to feel complete. It's something you choose to invite into an already extraordinary life, and he either rises to meet that life or watches someone else do it. Said pulling back isn't a strategy to manipulate someone into chasing you. It's not a trick, a test, or a temporary tactic. It's a reflection of a deeper truth that your standards, your peace, and your self-worth are not negotiable. Acting like he doesn't exist isn't about punishing him with silence or pretending you're over it when you're not. It's about moving through life with the quiet confidence that you don't have to force anything to keep it. If someone is meant to be in your life, they will show up consistently. And if they don't, you don't beg, chase, or explain yourself into being valued. You walk. When you pull back, it should come from a place of knowing that what you bring to the table is worth something. You're not doing it to get a reaction. You're doing it because being available to someone who is inconsistent or unclear is no longer acceptable to you. That shift in mindset changes everything. You're no longer anxiously waiting for him to get it. You're not waking up every day wondering how to make him see your value. You already know your value, and the right person won't need to be convinced of it. A standard is not something you put on to get attention. It's something you live by, whether or not anyone is watching. It shows up in your boundaries, in your tone, in your choices. When you stop initiating conversations that go nowhere, when you stop responding to half-effort texts, when you stop tolerating lukewarm interest, you're not being cold, you're being clear. You're saying, I don't invest in things that don't invest in me. That clarity creates space for someone who actually wants to meet you on your level. The mistake many people make is thinking that if they're just more available, more giving, more forgiving, that the other person will finally change. But availability doesn't breed commitment. It often breeds complacency. When someone knows they can come in and out of your life without consequences, they'll keep doing it. Not because they're bad people, but because they've never been shown that access to you is something that can be lost. Pulling back, in this context, is you reinforcing that your time is earned. That doesn't mean you're never vulnerable. It doesn't mean you never reach out or never show you care. What it means is that you don't perform emotional labor for someone who hasn't proven they're willing to carry their share of it. You don't keep chasing just to avoid the discomfort of being alone. You're no longer afraid of silence. You're no longer addicted to potential. And that shift away from fear and towards self-respect is where your power lies. When a man feels that you're no longer trying to convince him, when he senses that your life will move forward regardless of whether he steps up or not, it triggers something real. He realizes he has something to lose. Not because you said it, not because you threatened him, but because your energy says it. And in that moment, he has a choice: rise up or fall away. Either way, you win, because you've stopped hinging your emotional peace on someone else's behavior. Living with standards means your actions are consistent with your worth. You don't flinch at the first sign of distance. You don't panic when communication slows down. You observe, you adjust, you protect your space. And anyone who wants a place in your life learns very quickly effort is the only ticket in. You don't need attention. You don't need games. You just need alignment, and you're willing to wait for it without apology. So if there's one truth I want you to take from this, it's this. You don't have to chase what's right for you. The moment you stop pouring all your energy into proving you're worth someone's time, and instead start living like your time is already valuable, everything shifts. You stop attracting people who need to be convinced. You start attracting people who already recognize your value and who are willing to show up for it. Acting like he doesn't exist isn't about bitterness. It's not about shutting down. It's about finally choosing you. It's about giving your energy only to those who earn it, who respect it, and who add to your life instead of draining it. So let him wonder. Let him feel your absence. Let your silence speak, because the woman who knows her worth never has to raise her voice to be heard. You are the prize. Act like it and watch how the game changes.